everyone. Welcome back to the Generation Y Conservative Show. I am your host, Chris. Welcome back to the last half hour here. This half hour is actually brought to you by the Doc Thompson Health Challenge. It was created as a challenge that Doc Thompson would be proud of and support if he were still around. It was actually created to help Brad Staggs improve his health. Once Doc Thompson passed away, I think a lot of people in the industry started taking a good look at their own health, saying, we need to do it a little bit better, right? Now, what happened to Doc was an accident, but an accident that he was involved with while trying to get healthy, literally trying to get healthy by jogging, right? But I think a lot of people around the industry actually started seeing, hey, we got some of our own health problems that we need to take care of because we only have so much time on this earth, and we need to take care of our bodies in order to take care of our families. And that's where the Doc Thompson Health Challenge actually comes in. Challenge brings the Mojo 50 community together for a common cause, which is to heal, survive, and thrive. It's a 90-day challenge that started on Monday, March 4th, but don't let that stop you because it's a 90-day challenge. 90 days can happen at any point in time. But if you go to therichsolution.com, it's hosted by Gwen Rich, who's a health advocate and founder of The Rich Solution. Now, there's 8 obstacles that people typically run into when dealing with their health. And those are diet, mental attitude, exercise, sleep, stress, environmental toxins, community, and emotional health. Now, I can tell you one thing right off the bat here. Diet, mental attitude, exercise, sleep, and stress are some of the top ones for, I would say, just about everybody. No matter how perfect a person's life seems, they're dealing with at least one of these. And maybe it's sleep. There's a lot of people that aren't getting the optimal hours of sleep based on what their body actually needs. They say 9 to 10 hours or something a night that you're supposed to get sleep. But there's some people out there that can perform absolutely great and have no bodily dysfunction with their health by getting anywhere between 3 to 6 hours. But that's something that you need to find out. Maybe that's something that you have to work with your doctor on. But a lot of us aren't getting the necessary amount of sleep that we need. And sometimes that's because of what you're thinking about. So that feeds into your mental attitude. Listen, we all need help. We all need to focus a little bit more on getting better for ourselves and our families and for just being around for people, right? So do the right thing. Go to therichsolution.com, follow along with the Doc Thompson Health Challenge, and see if you can actually start this with yourself or maybe someone else in your life that may need it. Actually point them in the right direction because you can always help people out with that as well. Also, this half hour is brought to you by Atrantil. Okay? That's how it's said in my promotional material here. It's sounded out as Atrantil. Go to lovemytummy.com/mojo. I'm going to mention that again, but here's what's going on. Atrantil is a 90 capsule box, which is normally about $39.95 per box. But when you buy 3 boxes with the coupon code, you get 3 months of supply of bloating and digestive relief for only $99. So that means you save over $20 on 3 boxes of Atrantil. It's the first ever over-the-counter proven solution for bloating, developed by a board-certified gastroenterologist, safe for daily use, and has 100% natural polyphenols designed to address bloating problems where they begin and not just treat the symptom. It's not a probiotic, it's not an antibiotic. It's a blend of polyphenols desired by your body to work as a gut regulator and end methane, and then function as a postbiotic to benefit your overall health. It's also the world's only digestive aid that contains Caberco, Colorado. For you athletes, it's also the world's only bloating remedy that is NSF certified for sport. Why would you use this? Well, if you ever feel bloat after eating, if you get abdominal distension or tightness, if you feel tired and heavy after eating a meal, like me because I eat too much, if you have unprecedented bathroom habits with constipation or sporadic diarrhea, as long as it's not explosive diarrhea, right? Symptoms that look like IBS. It's also great for athletes, gluten intolerance, anti-aging, Great addition to health-conscious regimen. And if you're taking CBD, it's a powerful, with the phenols, like what are found in Atrantil, can actually allow the CBD to work better, giving you more benefit. So, again, where do you find this? Go to lovemytummy.com/mojo. And again, the offer right now that's going on is you get Atrantil 90 capsule box, which is usually $40 a box. If you get 3 and you use the coupon code, you get 3 months supply of bloating and digestive relief for only $99, saving you $20. Again, go to lovemytummy.com/mojo. So this half hour, what we're actually going to be talking about is some of these liberal politicians that are just saying the dumbest things right now. First one we have up here is actually Beto O'Rourke, or Robert O'Rourke, who's going after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who I believe personally is the modern day equivalent to Winston Churchill. Now, maybe not for Britain, right? But I think that Bibi is a bulldog for his people. I think he has his people's best interest at heart. I think he defends them. And you see that Israel is on the map with borders being surrounded by just people that want to destroy them all over the place. And really, we're one of the only allies that they have in the world, and we're across an ocean from them. And we gotta support them when we can. But Beto here just has the nastiest crap to say about Netanyahu. So let's take a look at what he has to say.
This is somebody who in a previous election warned that Arabs were coming to the polls. It's racism. This is someone who has joined forces with far-right parties who are inherently racist in their speech and the way that they want to treat their fellow human beings.
Speaking in Iowa, the Texas Democrat also said he doesn't believe Netanyahu represents the true will of the Israeli people.
So they ended that by saying that Beto feels that Netanyahu doesn't represent the true will of the Israeli people. Yet he's an elected official, right, in Israel. So he is elected based on the people to represent the people. This is the same type of attitude that the left has been suffering from when it comes to the Trump derangement syndrome, and that Trump actually won the election, that they're even considering doing away with the Electoral College and going with the true democracy, which true democracies always fail, and fail relatively quickly, because you find out very quickly that the majority of people don't know what the hell they're doing, especially when they're led like sheep into the slaughter. But Beto is a special shell kind of candidate, isn't he? He doesn't have any of his own ideas. He reacts emotionally to everything. He feels like he can eat magical dirt, which will have regenerative properties to him, and feed it to his family. His website has no information about the stances that he takes except for a donate button. And he feels like he should be molded by the American people, yet take extreme positions on everything when at his rallies that he then doesn't back up on his website. So who is Beto O'Rourke? What does he stand for besides crappy music and supposedly looks good, which he doesn't? He looks like a goofball. But to go after Benjamin Netanyahu is ridiculous to me. I'm hard-pressed to find any American politician that lives up to the standards of Netanyahu, let alone someone like Beto, who is just a tool for the Democratic Party right now. Okay, let's move on to Ilhan Omar, who, if you remember correctly, has made anti-Israel, anti-Jewish statements, and a couple other notable things that she has said that the Democratic Party distanced themselves from, but wouldn't outright go against, except for against hateful language overall. They never addressed her comments specifically. So I think they're scared of her for some reason, because she's an up-and-coming politician that's getting a lot of attention. But this woman is very scary and very not good for this country. So let's hear what she had to say when she was at a meeting, an organization for CAIR, and what she said there.
CAIR was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Some people did something, meaning Islamic terrorists slammed two 747s or whatever they were, full of innocent people into two towers of innocent people and killed nearly 3,000 American lives. And consequently, afterwards, because of the destruction of that and all the hazardous material that fell from the sky and from the towers and the cleanup and everything, many more people have died of cancer-related illnesses as well from these attacks. So it's been far-reaching and far having an effect on the American people. But she seems to think that this is just something that just happened by some people, and fails to recognize where these supporters actually came from and where these terrorists actually came from. Now, the interesting thing is, I've actually gotten into an argument in the past with a family friend of ours who joined CAIR in her local college setting, and we happened to post in one of the stories that we put up about slamming against CAIR, and she attacked me like you wouldn't believe. And I clearly said back to her, you need to do your research on CAIR, because some of the top level representatives and runners of CAIR are people that have been associated with terrorist activities, and you think that they have the best interest of Muslims in this country at their heart. Completely untrue. Okay, CAIR is a fundraising arm for terrorist organizations while putting on a fake front to try and get support and sympathy from people by using people like Ilhan Omar to put on this fake representation and show that it blows your mind sometimes that we don't have an American public that can wake up and actually notice and see these things. Now, that article was actually accompanied by another video here, which I found pretty fascinating, which went into something in regards to her attacking Brian Kilmeade, I believe, for what he said about her. And it was really interesting, the type of language that she used. And we'll get into that. Let's take a look at that video real quick.
Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar on Wednesday slammed Fox News personality Brian Kilmeade for questioning if she's American first.
Thousands at the Pentagon and that Flight 93, as well as in the World Trade Center. Really? There's so few people did something? You have to wonder if she's an American first.
She wrote, "This is dangerous incitement. Given the death threats I face, I hope leaders of both parties will join me in condemning it. My love and commitment to our country and that of my colleagues should never be in question. We are all Americans."
This is her tweet in regards to that. "This is dangerous incitement, given the death threats I face. I hope leaders of both parties will join me in condemning it." First of all, her party couldn't even condemn the anti-Semitic statements that she made on two occasions, one of which happened after she was told by the Democratic leadership not to do it anymore, and in a semi-half-hearted, half-assed apology that she gave, then went right back to the drawing board and threw out another anti-Semitic statement as well. So condemning what Brian Kilmeade says is ridiculous. She also says that it's a dangerous incitement given the death threats that she faces. Welcome to the club. Conservatives all the time, especially people like Brian Kilmeade and those in conservative media, receive piles of death threats every day from people like those that support CAIR, those in Antifa, and other far extreme leftist organizations. The only type of violence that we're actually seeing in this country, besides people like white nationalists and Richard Spencer's group and the neo-Nazis and stuff like that, which I would argue against you if you would say that that's a right group, because they believe in big centralized government. They believe in every single idea except for a few things. I forget exactly what it was now, but if you take, here's what it is. If you take all these socialist ideas and just add racism to it, that's what a neo-Nazi represents today, okay? So it's racism that defines the difference between the two. And because of that one thing, you associate it with the Republican Party instead of the party that it actually belongs to, which is the left. And believe you me when I tell you, I've met a lot more racist Democrats than I have racist Republicans. That being said, the rest of her tweet reads, "My love and commitment to our country and that of my colleagues should never be in question." Listen to last week's show that I put on. I do question it. I do question your love for your country because you don't love the United States for what it is. You love it for what you think it should be. And that's the biggest difference between those on the right and those on the left right now. Is those on the right love America for what it is, based on all the faults that it's had and where it's come from to what we've built it to be, the American dream, as opposed to the left who say that they love America, but it's like an abusive relationship, right? It's the type of relationship where two people get married because they believe that they can change each other into what and form each other into what they think that person should be. The left loves America in the same way, in that they want America to be something that it's not right now. But they will love that thing that it becomes. And that thing is something like a European nation with socialist values that always fails over there. So why would it succeed here with even more people? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, last one here is actually Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. This is mind-blowing. Time after time after time, we see these Democrats that get in front of people that change the way that they speak to match that of the crowd that they're talking to. And it's basically like dumbing down what they're saying and being just cocky and arrogant about it. You saw Obama do it with an Irish accent when he was over in Ireland. You saw Hillary Clinton kind of pandering to the two black hosts that were interviewing her at the time, and they said, well, what do you always have on you? And it was almost like a planned freaking question, and she pulls hot Tabasco sauce out of her purse to, oh my gosh, give me a freaking break. And now we have Alexandria Ocasio Cortez talking using a fake accent at this predominantly black crowd, where she's talking like an inner city person, and it's embarrassing. It's excruciating to watch this in my mind. But let's take a look real quick here.
This is what organizing looks like.
That's right.
This is what building power looks like. This is what changing the country looks like. I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy. There is nothing wrong with preparing the food that your neighbors will eat.
I'm actually surprised she didn't go, ain't nothing wrong with that, child. There's something definitely wrong with what she's doing here, and it's talking down to a group of people that the Democratic Party has relied on for far too long, voting in blocks of 90% all the time in favor of the Democratic Party based on a dangling carrot on a fishing rod that's taped to their backs of promises, hopes, and dreams and everything of what can be accomplished, what's promised to them, what is promised as far as government programs that will give them the opportunity to sit at home and not do anything and just be there and collect things. It's that dangles there that's never quite reached. You're constantly running towards it, and it's just staying right in front of you. It's a dangling carrot that keeps the Democratic Party in any type of power until that group of people wakes up. And that's exactly who Alexandria Ocasio Cortez is talking to here, belittling them by talking down to a crowd, when in actuality, the fact of the matter is that the Democratic Party is losing the black vote. It was 16% last time in voting for Donald Trump, okay? And I have a feeling it's going to get higher. And people like Candace Owens are waking people up right now in the black community to look at their values and ethics and principles and vote for the party that actually represents those. sometimes the best type of representation isn't the type of representation that offers you things or promises you things. It's the type of government people that promise to get out of your way and allow you to achieve the apex of what you're capable of as a person, no matter what color or sex or gender or ethnic background or religious background or political background that you have. Just be the opportunity to get out of your way to achieve everything that you can humanly possible without interfering or hurting another person is a type of promise that people need to make. And the fact is, the Democratic Party is waking up right now knowing that if even 20%, think about that, 4 percentage points away from what it was in the last election, if 20% of the black vote moved over to the Republican Party, the Democrats would never win again. It just takes that much. It's not much left there. And when you have people like AOC here talking down to you, it's time to start waking up and smelling the coffee and seeing what's actually going on. And it's time to start voting for your own ability to move forward in life with what's going to help you. And the only way that you're going to get help is by helping yourself out and getting yourself out of situations like this. Now it's time for my conservative reflection. You know, I look at all the major problems that we're dealing with in our country nowadays, from things that split us apart like abortion and any political topic that you can think of. And I realize more and more that we have an education problem in this country. You saw earlier tonight the video of the young girl standing up in front of her other fellow students and everything, talking to the pro-life person, trying to make an argument for killing a baby that was born after it was born in a post-abortion murder, okay? And you see these kids on college campuses trying to shut down the free speech of individuals. You see people like AOC get out there and become politicians, voted in by apparently the high intelligent, the sophisticated, intelligent people of that area. And you just got to sit back and you wonder yourself, what is going on? What is going on with our education system that we've gotten to this point where simple things like supply and demand are thrown out the window, that people believe that we have an infinite supply of resources available, right? And yet a finite supply of resources when it comes to other arguments like immigration and everything. It's amazing to me that we have to have these conversations, and it all comes back to public education. And it's amazing that more people don't look at this disconnect between the two different parties or any type of arguments that are out there and say, well, why can't we come to an agreement? Why are people so far off the mark when they're making these arguments that you believe this and I believe this? And we talked about your truth and my truth and the truth earlier tonight as well. But when it comes to the truth, why are we so far apart from each other? And to me, it does come down to public education. What is going on in our public schools anymore? You know, I moved back after I graduated from college into my hometown because I had a great school that I came out of, despite me screwing around and getting low grades and everything. The teachers were great. The system was great. And I wanted to provide an opportunity to give back to that school district, okay? And it's not until you get to, I was elected twice to the school board there, appointed the first time, elected the second time. And it's not until you actually see the wizard behind the curtain that you realize that you don't even really have a reason to be there as a director on the board anymore. You are told what's happening because of government mandates, and the only thing that you vote on anymore is really the budget and increasing taxes to fit that budget. And things are out of control. And these mandates that come down from the government are, you're going to do this or we're going to cut funding to your school. and you have your hands tied behind your back, and there's no way to go to your community and say, hey, I know you elected me on conservative principles and that I was going to save you on taxes, but hey, now that I'm behind the curtains and everything, I'm seeing a different story here, and I got to come back to you and raise your taxes by an astronomical amount because the federal government is mandating that we do all this garbage in schools, including this school where our students are outperforming other schools in the country, right? And you got to say that to retired people living on a fixed income. But why is it that we have to have these arguments, that we have to get into these arguments about abortion and everything, and what science says and what people say and what is a fetus versus what is a baby? And there's a lot of misinformation floating around out there because it's not really taught in the schools. The Planned Parenthood has reached into the school systems with their tentacles to teach kids instead of the actual health advisors in the school. And we're no longer hiring qualified people to actually talk about that stuff. And if you do talk about the stuff that goes against the narrative that's out there right now, from anywhere from abortion to economics to world history, there's certain places in the country right now that Common Core has affected history where they have to talk about World War II without ever mentioning Hitler. Imagine that. Imagine trying to do that. How do you do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. So we're under all these restrictions and regulations and everything in public education, and teachers are always teaching to the next test instead of actually teaching the subject and having fun with it and getting creative. And you see these teachers quitting across the country and going to other professions because they become more like a computer spitting out information that these kids have to know for the next test instead of being able to dive into the rich, deep history and stories that go into our past and our history and everything that goes into it, and talking about running simulations of stock markets and getting involved and trying to figure out supply versus demand and actually giving examples of that so that we actually have people that understand this when they get into politics, instead of having someone like AOC who thinks that we can raise the budget by $40 trillion or $70 trillion when we're already $20 trillion in debt. Where does that money come from? And she thinks that just by taxing the rich that we can do that. By taxing them 100%, the richest in this country, the top 50% in this country, taxed at 100%, you're still not coming up with it. And these people don't get it. But yet they feed the public, the sheep of the public, the other uneducated people that believe that we can do these things because it's the right things to do morally in their mind, that money isn't a thing, that money is infinite, like I said earlier. But when it comes, if money is infinite, but we have a finite amount of resources, what do? It just doesn't make any sense. So I think once you boil everything down, you actually see that public education is a problem. And what you need to start doing is showing up to your local board meetings, getting involved, getting onto the board, getting a look behind the scenes, and actually seeing what the hell is going on in your area there. And the only way that we can move forward is by getting involved in these things. And too many of the good people that have the good common sense to change this country sit on the sidelines every single day because they're afraid of getting involved. They're afraid of putting themselves out there. They're afraid that their business is going to be affected. Well, if you have children that are in public education right now, you either need to get involved and see what's going on so that you're not surprised when they come home with all the morals and values that you've in place to them have been unraveled, or you need to pull them out of school and start homeschooling like we did. Because until then, until America starts waking up and realizing that we're putting in cookie sheets of students and they're all coming out baked the same, nothing's going to change. I'm the Generation Y conservative. Have a great night, and God bless America.